Sandra was in her early 30s, still a virgin and proud of it. Then came Victor, a gentle church-loving man, almost like a pastor. He never touched Sandra in a sexual way. He will always say, "Our bodies are God's temple. We must keep them holy." Sandra was impressed. Finally, a man who wasn't after her body. But even after their traditional marriage, Victor never touched her, not even a kiss. At first, it felt strange, but she told herself, maybe this is what true holiness looks like. She told her friends, Linda and Sonia, about it. They had different opinions. Linda said, "Men like Victor are rare. You should be grateful." But Sonia wasn't having it. Grateful for what? You need to know the man you are marrying. What if he can't satisfy you sexually? Or maybe something is wrong with him. Sandra didn't know who to believe, but the wedding plans were already set and backing out wasn't an option. Weeks later, they had their white wedding. Everything went perfect. Smiles, songs, blessings, gifts. Sandra felt like her prayers had finally been answered. But that night, everything changed. It was past midnight when Sandra felt someone's hand on her. She jumped, confused, because Victor had never touched her like that before. "Calm down, it's me," he said softly but commanding. Her heart raced. "Victor, please, slow down," she whispered with teary eyes. But he didn't stop. Instead, he went harder, breathing rough. He tore off her nightwear and made his way through. "I'm a virgin, please take it easy," Sandra whispered with shaky voice. Victor didn't listen. He just kept going harder and harder until he was satisfied. Then he said, "You are so sweet," as he made his way to the bathroom. Sandra lay still, tears rolling down her face as she watched him walk out of the room. She was still in pain, weeping quietly when she heard Victor's voice from the bathroom. "Baby, are you ready for round 2? Sandra gasped in disbelief. Round 2? When her body was still sore with blood all over the bed? At that moment, she knew she had to leave the house. She used her last strength to crawl out of the bed and made her way to the sitting room, took the car key, and zoomed off in the dark. Victor came out of the bathroom still smiling to himself, but when he looked around, Sandra wasn't there anymore. At first, he thought maybe she went downstairs, until his eyes caught the blood on the bed sheet. He froze. "What happened here?" he muttered. He started calling her name, but no answer. He rushed to the sitting room. The car key was gone. He ran outside, and the car itself was gone too. He looked around in confusion. It's 2 a.m. Where could she have gone? He tried calling her phone, then he heard a faint sound. He followed it, only to find her phone lying on the couch. That was when it hit on him that something was really wrong. He tried calling Linda. No answer. Then Sonia, still no answer. Finally, he called his best man Henry, told him everything. Henry's voice came through the phone, calm but serious. "Bro, it's late. Wait till daybreak. Maybe she will come home." Victor agreed, but he couldn't sleep that night. Meanwhile, Sandra was still on the road, driving aimlessly through the dark, tears blurring her vision. She didn't know where she was going, but her heart led her home. By the time she stopped the car, she was in the front of her parents' gate. The gateman recognized her immediately and opened the gate. Her parents rushed out, shocked to see her in that condition. "Were you robbed?" her father asked, confused. Sandra couldn't speak. She just broke down in her mother's arms. Her mother used her wrapper to cover her and gently led her inside. By 6 a.m., Victor was already at Linda's house. "Have you seen Sandra?" he asked. Linda shook her head. "No. We thought she was with you. I mean, it's your honeymoon." They called Sonia. She gave the same answer. Victor started pacing up and down. He was about to lose his mind when Linda said, "Why don't you call her parents?" "How did I not think of that?" Victor whispered, hitting his head. He dialed their number. No response. He tried calling again and again. Still nothing. Just as he was about to call the 6th time, Henry's call came in. "How far, my guy?" Henry asked. "I haven't seen her yet," Victor replied, his voice breaking. "She's not at her friends' houses either. I'm heading to her parents' place now." "Alright, bro, keep me updated," Henry said before hanging up. Victor got into the car and drove off, unaware that the mess he had created was about to explode in ways he never imagined. Victor arrived at Sandra's parents' house. He stepped into the sitting room. It was empty. "Hello, anyone home?" he called out, looking around. Sandra's mother walked out of the kitchen with an angry face. "Victor, what happened to my daughter?" she asked sharply, almost shouting. Sandra's father heard her voice and came out too, looking angry. Victor stood still, confused and speechless. "Go and call her," Sandra's father said to his wife as he sat down on the couch, then pointed at Victor. "Sit down." "Thank you, sir," Victor said quietly as he sat on a sofa opposite Sandra's father. A few minutes later, Sandra and her mother walked into the sitting room. Sandra froze the moment she saw Victor. Images of the previous night flashed back in her mind, and tears immediately dropped from her eyes. Her mother held her tight and guided her to a sofa, sitting beside her and consoling her sadly. Victor was more confused than ever. "What is wrong?" he asked, standing up to move closer. "Stay away from me," Sandra shouted, gripping her mother tightly. Victor stopped, shocked, staring at all of them in confusion. "Don't just stand there and act innocent, you rapist," Sandra screamed. "Rapist?" Sandra's parents shouted at the same time. They were surprised. All Sandra did last night was cry. She refused to tell them what happened to her. After a tense moment of silence, her father finally spoke. "How is that even possible? Is this not the same man your mother told me that you said wouldn't touch you sexually because he didn't want you people to defile your bodies? Or am I mistaken? He raped me," Sandra cried, breaking down completely. "God forbid," Victor shouted. "How can I do such a thing? You are my wife. You raped me," Sandra screamed over him. "You hurt me. You tore my clothes." She wept harder. Victor's mouth hung open. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. He tried to talk, but Sandra's father raised his hand sharply. "Leave this house before I do something I will regret," he warned. Victor was still standing there, trying to defend himself when Sandra's mother marched to him. She slapped him across his face and spat on him. Without looking at him again, she turned and took her daughter out of the sitting room. "Out!" Sandra's father thundered. Victor lowered his head and walked out slowly, humiliated, confused, and drowning in shame. As soon as Victor got back to his house, his friend Henry was already waiting, worried and pacing. "Bro, how far?" "Thank God you are okay," Henry exclaimed. "What happened? I've been calling." "Sorry, man," Victor muttered with his head bowed, walking into the sitting room. Victor sank to the floor, his hand on his head. "Bro, I'm finished," he thundered. Henry's face turned serious. "What happened? Is Sandra okay?" Victor's voice broke as he shouted. "I fucked her, bro. I raped her." Henry froze, mouth hanging open. "What? You? No way." Victor stood up slowly and led Henry to his room, tears rolling down his face as he pointed to the blood on the bed. "I raped my wife, bro. I didn't know I was rough, I swear. I had no idea. I heard women make sounds during sex. I thought that was what it was about. I've never done this before. We were both virgins." Henry took a deep breath, trying to steady his friend. He placed a hand on Victor's shoulder. "Bro, calm down. We will fix this. Let us go and see the pastor. This is serious, but it is not too late." Victor nodded with teary eyes. "I don't want to lose her, bro." They arrived at the pastor's office, explained everything, and the pastor listened with a heavy heart. He prayed with them, offering guidance and forgiveness, and then accompanied them to Sandra's parents' house. That evening, as they entered Sandra's parents' house, her parents welcomed them out of the respect they had for the pastor. He spoke with them calmly, explaining the situations and advising Victor to apologize sincerely to the family and to Sandra herself. Victor knelt down in front of Sandra and her parents. "I am truly sorry," he said, tears rolling down his face. "I will go for therapy and counseling. I promise to be patient, to listen and to respect every boundary from now on." Sandra looked at him, seeing the remorse in his eyes. She remembered the man she had known before, the man who had truly cared for her and wasn't after her body. "I forgive you," she said softly, "but I'll need some time to heal." Few months later, Sandra returned home, and this time they started fresh. Victor learned to listen, to ask for consent at every step, and to truly respect her. Slowly, their love grew stronger, grounded in trust, care, and mutual respect. Together, they built a life full of love, peace, and happiness.